Well, everybody, I'm happy to bring you all another episode tonight. We are joined by Fox Family Paranormal Investigators. I am really, really happy to have you guys here. I am super stoked to hear some of your stories, some of the stuff that you guys do, maybe some suggestions you have for our listeners, myself, maybe, if you got something.
I've never done an investigation, so this is going to be a very
Yeah, me
interesting.
neither.
Right.
I'm excited. I think it'll be cool. So introduce yourselves. Tell everybody what you do, where you're from, whatnot.
You
go ahead.
want me to start? Okay, I'm Michael Fox. We live in Temple, Georgia. Nice little city, I guess.
My mom's from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice little town. We're only, 6 miles from Villarica, so.
Yeah,
Right on.
easy drive.
I've actually been in the paranormal probably 30 plus years. I've worked for teams across the country from California to Georgia over the years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We investigate a lot in our county. We go out to, we do a lot of private investigations. That seems to be our expertise. We go into families' home because we started out with that goal. We want to help people. Sometimes it's nothing that people are experiencing, but a lot of times it's something. And, we try to help them cope with what's going on or try to rid them. And so, we do a lot of in the county and around the state, Tennessee, Alabama. We'll just about go anywhere.
That's awesome.
Mississippi.
So, I don't know about Bobby. I want to hear your best story. What was the one thing that actually scared you that you guys got to see?
I don't know about so much scared, but unsettling. We did an investigation in Carrollton, and actually I plan to write a book about that investigation. It was that intense. A lady called us and in tears, frantic. She said, "You got to help me. Silverware's flying off the counters at us, knives." She said, it's just bad. Something's pushing me. I'm having nightmares. You got to help me. You got to help. And so we did set up an interview with this family, and we went to the location and we spoke with her, and actually had some experiences at the home while we were sitting there talking with the clients. And as we were leaving, the thing that got me is she saw us off the porch, goodbye, sure hope you can help us. And I looked back through the rear view mirror, and she's sitting on her steps like, "I don't want y'all to go, I need help, and she was crying.
Oh, wow.
I went home and this stayed with me. We sat down at the dinner table trying to eat, and I couldn't eat for thinking about that. And I kept telling the family, I feel so sorry for her. Something's definitely going on. At the property where the client lived, there was a child murder a few years ago, and it was not connected with this. We tried to see if the evidence that we gathered fit in with the murder, which it did not. This was totally separate and had nothing to do with the occurrence that happened on the property. But we went in and did the investigation. I guess the scariest thing that happened, we had the spirit box on, Michael did, while we were doing a house cleansing there, maybe a few nights after the investigation. And I remember, and I'm like 98% sure a bear, a little teddy bear that she had setting up on a cabinet, I'm almost sure that thing moved. And I was like right in the middle of it. I said, "Okay, get that and get it out of here." And, later to find out, we've had some problems with that here in the house. We actually thought it had moved before. And so that the family actually burned it the next day after we left. Yeah. Michael had the spirit box on, I was telling you. And, while I'm doing the house cleansing, it's almost like I was carrying on a conversation with the entity in the house, which was a very negative, bad energy that was there. And it was saying bad things to me. And I guess that was the most intense thing that ever happened. We actually had that spirit come home with us that caused a lot of problems in our household.
Oh, wow.
And in our personal lives. And this went on for a very long time till we ourselves had to, I reached out for help, and it was like, you guys are the specialists. You guys do this. We can't come help you. You handle it. That's yours. That's what you do. And so, yeah, it took us a while, but we were able to get rid of that spirit. But it was definitely probably the most intense case that we've ever had.
Sounds like it.
It's pretty common in this field for spirit attachment, and that's what we were dealing with here, which we normally try to guard against that. But when you're working with an entity of this type, there was probably nothing we could have done if it decided it wanted to attach itself, which it did. That we just had to figure out how to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. But
I grew up in a Pentecostal church, and seeing demons cast out is things that I've witnessed
on a regular basis.
Yes. Exactly. And the Holiness Church that we attended a lot, that was a frequent occurrence. But this was the first demonic case that our team, us as a team, had ever experienced. So it was different, a lot different from the church exorcisms. A whole lot different, and it really made an impact on us. Yeah. So, that was our younger years of investigating as the team, but we've learned to guard and protect ourselves since then. Mm-hmm. So, we are on top of things a whole lot more than we were.
Yeah. So that's the number one thing that I think that you're trying to get across here is that there should be an element of protection.
Yes,
absolutely.
To people who are interested in getting into investigating. That sounds like that's the put on your PPE, so to speak.
Correct.
Your personal
exactly.
safety equipment.
So one thing that I've always questioned, and this is just me, and I don't know if you guys have an answer for this, but I'm not Christian. I follow Buddhism, and I've always found it fascinating that Christian iconology seems to have the most impact, or is at least the most talked about form of protection. Is it all religious iconology that can kind of keep it at bay, or is it just strictly a Christian thing?
No, it's not strictly a Christian thing.
No, I think it's because Christians are taught faith maybe more, mm-hmm. The Bible, faith, have faith. Faith can move mountains. And I think it's because it doesn't matter what religion you are, there's got to be a mutual ground where you can say, okay, I need protection from this. We had an atheist with us investigating, and it was actually, we did an investigation in Carrollton, a palm reader's house. We won't call the name of it, but a lot of people would know where it was. But we actually had her calling on Jesus. It got that intense. Wow. But, I think it's just, and I was taught this in a class that I recently took. I can take this bracelet, and if I have confidence in this bracelet that it's going to protect me, it's nothing but beads. I can rip it apart. The thing will break. Mm-hmm. But if I have confidence that this is going to protect me and this is my protection, then, it's going to protect me because I've put my confidence in this. I think the best shield of protection for somebody that's not a Christian is just say, okay, I need protection. I've got my shield on. I'm not afraid of you. That's putting up your shield of defense. It's pretty much like a war, a battle you go in. It doesn't matter what denomination you are. There's several different denominations that are in the Army, I'm sure, but they all have the one thing. You've got to have that shield of protection, some form of protection.
I'd also add to that the fact that the ratio for the number of Christians that are researching the paranormal comparatively to those of other religions is probably far skewed.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So you don't see a whole lot of Buddhists that are confronting these, and you certainly aren't seeing those Buddhists that are practicing those praying on national television, and that may be that's at fault for I suppose for the people that handle those networks and things like that. They made those choices to show those particular things. That doesn't mean that didn't happen off camera or that they chose not to show it.
But Buddhism, they do believe in the spirit world.
Yes, no, absolutely,
very much so. Mm-hmm. And so does the pagans.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Pagans also believe in the spirit world, and pagans have their own forms of protection when you're getting into it. We work with a pagan out of Virginia. She's a psychic medium, I guess, and she's done some work for us long distance. And she's actually sent us packages on the pagan side. If we're dealing with a pagan problem, we tend to try to address it on that level.
Well, that's very smart.
And that's kind of an interesting thought. How do you know the difference between a Christian spirit, a pagan spirit, a Hindu spirit?
Well, it's not so much the spirit. It's for example, we investigate for a friend of ours that's the caretaker of a cemetery in Aragon, Georgia. Okay, we've done a couple of investigations there. Recently, on one of the statues, there was a mirror left, a few other articles, duct tape, sunglasses were left there. So that's definitely not something left there by a Christian, more than likely. So, I try to reach out to what I feel like this represents to find, okay, has there a spell been cast here, some kind of ritual? I need to know what I'm dealing with here. Is this something that we need to go out and, maybe close a portal to, or, approach different? We have a lot of people that we reach out to in different situations that tend to help us. Fox Family is just not the team that you see.
No.
We have people that help us pretty much all over the United States.
That's awesome.
We reach out to a lot of people.
Yeah, we network a lot with other groups all across the United States, and we have connections in UK and Australia.
Really? Right on.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's awesome. I do have a question in regard to our current time in this world. How do you feel like COVID-19 has affected paranormal activity, investigating? How do you think have you seen any kind of like uptick, so to speak, in the amount of activity that you're having reported to you? Or is it similar to what you've seen pre-COVID? Because I see a lot of articles online that would allude to the fact that the amount of activity has increased.
I think the amount of activity has increased, but as far as getting the calls has decreased this year because of the COVID. People are more afraid of having people come into their homes right now and doing investigations, which I don't blame them,
I understand.
But I think the activity itself has increased clear across the board for what we've seen and experienced on the cases we have worked this year. And we've been pretty busy this year, even with the COVID. We actually, turn down cases sometimes because we just don't think they're the right fit for us. But,
right. And if people are experiencing more paranormal activity, it's probably because they're quarantined at home. Things that if they were off at work or the kids were at school, they normally would not have noticed. So now they're noticing more. I do get messages all the time from people, hey, this is going on, or they send me pictures. So, I would think if there is an increase, it's probably due to people staying home more.
Yeah.
So on that note, I want to touch on a different subject. I know you guys said you watched our first video. My middle daughter, she's convinced that there's a man that stays in her room. She's told us repeatedly about the man that'll stand at the end of her bed and cry every night, to the point where she will not sleep in that room unless I go in there and specifically say, we walk around the bedroom, I have to lock her closet, got to do all this ritual every night with her. And even then, it's iffy if she's going to sleep in there. What is something that I can do, or somebody else listening that might have a kid, what can I do to kind of help comfort her? Maybe drive out whatever is in there? Because I'm convinced there's something in that house. I know there is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not evil. So I don't necessarily think it's something that's going to harm us. I just think it's playing with her. I don't know any other way to put it.
Number one thing, believe her.
Oh, yeah.
That's what kids need. They need for their parents to believe what they're saying, because they're doubting themselves. And children have a tendency to see things that adults don't see, because as you grow older, we clog our minds with more thoughts of rationalizing everything. And their minds are more open to the paranormal.
Yeah, I would first find out who it is.
Yeah.
Start out by maybe get a little digital recorder, slipping under her bed. Don't let her aware of it. It might, But I would just listen through the night, see if you pick up anything. Maybe a voice activated one would be good. Maybe set up a camera. Or maybe when nobody's home, get your cell phone recorder and say, hey, who's in here with us? Are you crying at the foot of my daughter's bed? I would first do that before you try to confront, because you don't know, what you're talking to right off the bat. So you need to know who it is, why they're there.
Well, I think with the child, with it crying at the foot of your daughter's bed, it's maybe it legitimately could be the spirit of a child, but a lot of from what my interest has led me to know, sometimes that can be an entity that's trying to take your shield down, your guard down, and get that. So you're empathizing with it. So it's lured you into this false sense of security.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
And yeah, kind of a scary situation in regard to that. But
especially when you're dealing with demonic type spirits, that's how they like to first make contact, especially through a child. They want to relate with that child on that child's level. And what easier way to do it than appear as a child?
Right.
She never calls it a kid. That's the thing. It's always a man. I'm 99% sure I know who it is. My wife had a best friend who passed away years ago. It was 2009. But the reason I think it's him is because the day before he passed away, they had lost contact for several years. And he called her on the phone, and when they hung up, she told him, look, you can't ever go that long without seeing me again or talking to me. And the very next day, he was killed in a work accident. And from that moment on, we have had just weird things that have happened in the house wherever we live. So I'm 99% convinced it's him. The crying thing has always kind of freaked me out, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I would get a recorder and just ask some questions.
I'm gonna
Verify it. Verify it.
When you ask questions, give a time to respond. Count to 10 or 20 between each question. Sometimes they'll take a little bit longer to respond.
Yeah. Also, without doing an investigation there, we could bring up a couple of pieces of equipment over and just, work with you a little bit and see what we can come up with.
That would be awesome. That would help my wife because she doesn't want an investigation in the house.
Yeah.
But if I could set up some stuff.
We can do
sometimes
like a
people
private,
that don't want an investigation, we can go just Michael and I. And
we've done it many times for people to help
a
with
couple
that.
of pieces of gear. And
Okay. You might do that. I cut you off, Bobby.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good stuff. I did want to. You guys have been at this location, the Chaos Haunted House in Carrollton, Georgia, but on a number of occasions at this point. Do you think? Did you have any knowledge of this place prior to Chaos Haunted House being here? Do you know of any history behind the place? Like, what was it before it was a haunted house?
it was an Amvitz post.
We did a lot of research on this property and building before Chaos.
Okay.
We actually went to the library, the three of us, Destiny, myself, and Michelle, and we went through old film of newspapers. We went as far back as we could reach researching this property. And we've got a lot of history on this.
Right on.
When we investigated before, though, we got the name of a person on our spirit box, and we took that name, and the owner here at Chaos had found some little tags that had names on it of former members here, and we actually found that name.
Oh, wow.
And so we researched that name, and we found out information. We were able to find out where that person lived. We even went and visited their grave. We went that far with it.
That's cool.
It was awesome. Some of our investigators here experienced being touched on some of the investigations. Lots of things that we heard that we weren't able to confirm. But it's still something to look into and investigate.
So is this the only attraction location that you guys have investigated, or
No.
In Georgia, yeah, but in Alabama, we also do the Haunted Trail of Fear.
Okay.
And you have to look them up on Facebook. Awesome people. Jackie Coggins is the owner there. She and her husband, and they are awesome people. And we've investigated out there for them a couple of times.
She's had us out twice.
So the reason I was asking is do you think there's any evidence to support the idea that maybe the fear that is generated by this as being an attraction is feeding the activity at all? Do you think
that is a possibility?
Feeding off the energy, yes.
Right, because you've got people dressed up in costumes, the blood, the gore, the possessed kind of thing. And I think it actually feeds the spirits.
Yeah.
Or it could even open up to something else coming through. You never know.
So, okay. So I'm going to step away from ghost activity. Have you guys ever experienced any UFO activity, or maybe a creature that like a physical entity that you guys couldn't quite explain? Let's go a little deeper here.
Okay, I've never experienced a UFO, but there is a cemetery in Tallapoosa. It's called Budapest. And we go out there a lot. If we have family visiting from afar, they say, we want to go on an investigation. I said, okay, well, we'll take you out to Budapest. One evening we were due out there, and we were going to meet some people out there. We arrived, and I'd almost did a live stream on our page as we were pulling up and showing everything. And I wish I had of, because I remember looking off through the trees, and I saw something standing up very, very tall. And, I'm thinking, Michael, look. And he's looking everywhere but where I'm pointing at. And I'm like, there. I said, it's gone. And then I remember looking, and then I saw it moving on down through the trees. It was afar off, and I could tell this, and I don't know what that was. I'm not going to say it was Bigfoot. I even went as far as researching black bears in the area. I want to know what that was.
But it was walking upright.
It was actually walking upright.
Well, there are
very, very tall.
There are black bears in Tallapoosa in the Muscadine area. My parents actually live there now.
It was more than likely a bear, but I was like, I just want to know for sure.
But I do know for certain that the Finding Bigfoot team that, was on Animal Planet for many, many years, one of their first episodes of that show was shot in Tallapoosa. They said on camera that it was in Alabama, but I know the exact turn on Highway 100 that they were on. Yeah. So they were there in town looking for something. I think wholeheartedly that maybe if there is anything to the Bigfoot species, right? I'm still skeptical as well. Then I think they're in Tallapoosa. They're all over the country.
Right.
They're just.
Now, I like Destiny's theory on Bigfoot. She thinks it's alien connected.
Oh, really?
Right. I mean, because you got to think about if an alien landed on our planet, and I know this sounds way out there, but
that's cool. This is where this
okay.
This is French
I know
toast.
this is crazy, but say they've landed up in the woods, in the mountains, and they've got this spot. So, like at our homes, we have our guard dogs to run people away. What if that's their, so to speak, guard dog to run us away from the area, so that we don't find this?
Yeah.
I think about this a lot. I have some weird theories on
and
stuff.
And two, nobody's ever been able to get hardcore evidence on Bigfoot existing.
Yeah.
No feces, no bones, no anything else. So why would that be? If he exists, then, it's because they're loading him back on that UFO, and they're taking off with him.
Yeah. Exactly. That's our
They're
theory.
Like, we're never having a blonde on the show.
We're not going to put that.
If we're going to share weird theories, I'll share a weird theory that we had. My wife and I last night were watching a show on American history, and it was talking about how if Truman had lost or hadn't been elected as vice president, there was somebody else. I can't remember the guy's name now. It's escaping me. But he had a very different view than Truman did. And Mike was talking about the multiverse, right? It's a common theory. Well, there's a universe somewhere out there where Truman didn't get voted, didn't get
Right.
so there's a totally different universe out there. We were talking about, well, what if that's ghosts? What if when you pass away, you're given the ability to go to see another reality?
Exactly.
And maybe that's what we're seeing, and that there's areas where that's thinner, and that traveler is coming through more so than other times, and that's maybe what we're seeing as a ghost, is that traveler who's going to that other dimension to see what it's all about, to see what that would look like.
Yeah,
Right.
you have two separate entities occupying the same space in two different dimensions, and every once in a while they keep crossing over and one will get a glimpse of the other. There was a paranormal investigator a number of years ago that actually wrote a book on this.
Really?
And he was talking that he did an investigation, and he went into this old farmhouse that was supposed to be totally deserted. And when he walked into the kitchen, it was daylight outside. There was an elderly man and woman sitting at the table eating breakfast. He looked at them, they looked at him, they screamed, and he screamed. And then he ran out of the room and went back, and it was a deserted building again. It was like he crossed that veil for a brief second into their reality.
So he was a ghost on their side.
And they
Right,
witnessed
right.
him, and he witnessed them. Yeah,
That's cool.
probably, on their reality, they saw a ghost.
Right.
And on his reality, he saw a ghost.
That's wild stuff, man.
That's so
But
cool.
that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's why we wanted to start this show.
And that's some of the things we do explore when we do investigations. We try to prove or disprove a haunting. We try to get concrete evidence that something is happening, because we're trying to comfort and help the people that call us.
Right.
Plus, we're trying to get scientific evidence for the scientific part of the world in the paranormal community. We put this evidence out there. And
Did you just see that over
I missed it.
yeah, this building is haunted.
It
starting
really
to feel
is.
it.
And
It
yeah,
really is.
yeah.
Feel it. All right. Well,
I think we're getting close to probably getting ready to wrap up, right?
yes.
So before we wrap up, I do want to give you guys a chance, if you want, to kind of share your contact information with anybody in the Georgia area or the South, I
Yes.
guess Southeast, who might want to reach out, who has their own activity or their own questions for you guys.
Right. You can find us on Facebook, Fox Family Paranormal. Our website, foxfamilyparanormal.com, and that's accessible from our page. Or shoot us a message on Facebook. A lot of people contact us with questions. They'll say, I've got a dumb question for you. No question's too dumb to ask. I mean, because sometimes what you may feel is dumb is really not dumb. It's something we can help you with. Our contact telephone number is 770-560-5143. No calls after midnight, please.
That's Eastern time, by the way. Eastern
Right,
time.
exactly.
Yeah, Eastern time.
Exactly.
And if they Google paranormal teams, usually we're one of the top ones that pop up. A few years ago, we were named as one of the top 5 on the Eastern Seaboard as teams.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
So Google, I guess, puts us out there quite a bit now.
Thank you guys so much for being on. I really do appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
And the
We've
knowledge.
enjoyed it.
And I think that everybody that's watching at home are going to be able to glean some information, especially if they're wanting to get into this field, and maybe they were a little entertained too.
We just barely touched the surface tonight.
Exactly.
So what I'm hearing is we got to have you back on.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
That's what it
Definitely.
sounds like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to know more from you guys and getting it from investigations with you.
All right. Glad y'all are hanging out with us tonight.
Your guys' show is kind of connecting with what we do. So there
Yeah.
you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys.